pulling you in further and further. And the next thing I know, it was like 7 days later, and I literally played through the interview. Like, I didn't even go back for the second interview for Star Wars.
What? It's video game reaction time!
Yeah, Lulu, can you believe it's been 25 years since the Warcraft franchise was invented and shared upon the world? 25 years!
Maybe that was like, what?
That was when you were born? Right. Now, I didn't actually play the very first Warcraft game, but I do remember that game. I was in the office. This was back when I was working with like IDOS, a video game company, and they would just play that game all day, all night, even though they should be working. I really got hooked on Warcraft 3 and this expansion, I guess you call it a mod, if you will, of Dota, which ended up becoming the inspiration for this game, League of Legends. But I really, really got hooked on World of Warcraft. And that's when, that would change my life.
Crazy.
That's right. I played a lot. I didn't tell you the story, actually, of like why I actually started playing, though, huh?
No.
Oh, it's a good story.
What's the
Y'all want to
story?
hear the story? I'll tell you the story.
Let's listen together.
All right. So this was back in around 2003 when World of Warcraft first came out. The concept of MMORPGs was still pretty new, but there was already been a couple players on the scene like Ultima Online and EverQuest, and I never really got into them. Like, I just didn't care for them. They seemed complex, but I did have a job interview at Star Wars, LucasArts, and they wanted to bring on a product manager to oversee Star Wars Galaxies. And Star Wars Galaxies was their version of an MMORPG. You can run around and explore everything in Star Wars. You can level up your character and whatnot. So I said, okay, I'm interested in this interview. And I went in for the first round. It went really well. And they said, look, if you come back, make sure you play the game. Let's talk about it in detail. And let's talk about like what you would do with the game. So I went and bought a copy of Star Wars Galaxies. And of course, I got to check out the competitors too. So I bought World of Warcraft. Exactly. And so for the next week, I got to really get into it. That's how I do my research, right? That's research for you in the game industry. You play games. And so I installed Star Wars Galaxy and I booted it up and I started playing. It was really cool at first. I'm like, wow, I can see why people are really into this, right? Everything that you want to be able to do in Star Wars, you can do in this game. But then I just noticed like some real quirky stuff. Like, so for instance, it was really uneven in terms of performance. Like, you went to some places and suddenly the frame rate would dip and things would crash. It wasn't a very stable game. And then it was really complex, like trying to figure everything out and all these like weird things that just doesn't make sense to you at all. And going to a zone and realize like just nobody there. Like, no one was really playing the game that much back then. So I was like, okay, there's a lot I could do here. I can see this, I don't necessarily have to work on the perfect game. After all, they want to bring me on to improve it. So I started jotting notes down, like things I would improve, like this and this and this. I'm like, all right, let's play World of Warcraft. So I installed it and I booted it up and I was like, this was cool.
This is game.
This is the bar that we have to hit. You start off in the starting village, you learn a couple of skills, and then you go out into the world. And it was just a revelation. I never experienced a game that was so infinitely complex and full, yet so easy to get into, with the next hook and the next hook pulling you in further and further. And the next thing I know, it was like 7 days later, I was literally playing all day, all night. And I literally played through the interview. Like, I didn't even go back for the second interview for Star Wars. Because I was like, because basically my thinking was, no, this is the game.
You can't fake
I can't fake it. Yeah, I can't fake it. That's just me. Like, I can't say like, yeah, I really want to do this. I really want to work on it. No, my reaction was, you know what? This game is so much better. In fact, it's so good. I just want to play this. I don't even want to work on your Star Wars Galaxy game.
Oh my God, did you really?
I honestly just said, like, I'm not interested. That was it. I never bothered to even go in because it was such a big difference.
That was when you were young. You don't even think about getting the job.
That's true. That was back when I was really stupid. I should have thought about it. It was okay because, life happens for a reason. I ended up going to work for Konami or Hudson Entertainment after that. Moved to San Francisco. And then I met you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have married some Star Wars junkie, right? But World of Warcraft 7 days straight of playing that game, and I was hooked.
You were impressed.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And that was like 2 weeks later. I'm like, all right, I got to get my cousins in on this and family. And that's when I got them hooked. And then they got their friends hooked and their spouses hooked. And boom, a year long.
And you're the one that quit first.
I was, well, like I said, they got hooked way more than I did. To the point where they were playing weekdays and they would level up all the time. And that game, if you want to play as a party, you can't have characters that are too far apart. Because I couldn't keep up. I really could not. They were leveling up like 3 or 4 levels a day. And so after a week, I would be down like 10, 15 levels. And you can't, like I said, you can't catch up and play with them. So, but the game was that good that I did not even bother to go back for that second interview. Just ghosted Star Wars.
There you go.
So I'm really looking forward to this trailer because it's a montage. It just shows all the highlights. It'd be nice to run down memory lane.
Right. Oh, it's like from baby to adulthood.
It's more like adulthood to senior adulthood.
What the hell? All right, let's watch this.
All right, let's do this. And away we go.
Oh, wow. It's like old school.
That's what the logo used to look like. Oh, wow. Some really old
You can still see the
CGI.
pixel, like, you know.
Low frame rate, pixelated, low poly kind of mess. Oh, not this stuff. This looks good.
No, that looks good.
The cries of war echo upon the winds.
My son, a terrible darkness has returned to our world. What am I supposed to do now?
Man, Blizzard's always so good at creating that facial expression that pulls you in.
What a king must do.
What are you doing, my
I
son?
love the soundtrack.
Succeeding you, father.
You must devoured the shadows and lead.
You must rally the Horde and lead your people to their destiny.
Once before, you and I stood side by side.
What's different this time?
We are.
My old friend, you and I, we don't get to hide.
Oh, I remember this trailer. That was the first World of Warcraft trailer I saw. That footage right there.
Shadow of my wings.
Cow.
Did you think we had forgotten? Sometimes the hand of fate must be forced. This was not our destiny. Times change. And now you dare enter my realm.
You are not prepared!
You are not prepared!
Oh, I still remember.
The day you were born, the very forests of Lordaeron whispered the name Arthas.
We will never be slain!
You could just tell the difference between the recent trailers and the old ones. They gotten so good at their craft.
The true
question is, what is worth fighting for?
For the Alliance!
For Azeroth!
No matter what you fight for,
You never
fight.
Alone.
So much fighting.
Panda's there.
Yes. Kung Fu Panda somehow made it into this game. That was literally expansion. You go and discover this land of Kung Fu Pandas.
Mom, really? And they recruited him.
You know, one thing I really admire about this game, more than any other game, and the lore for this game, honestly, is so complex. I think that unless you really follow along that closely, it's hard to really appreciate everything. But, you know, the whole thing about World of Warcraft is like there's two sides, right? There's the Alliance and the Horde.
Oh.
Simple terms, you always think of like one side is good and one side is bad. But the reality is, for this game, there is no real
Good and bad.
or bad. Yeah, there's a side that clearly feels more sinister, right? The Horde has the undead, they have the trolls. They're just like, you know, ugly bunch of Molly crew.
But they're nice, right?
But they have the reasons for fighting. In fact, if anything, they're the ones that you really want to root for because they're the ones that have suffered the most. And they're just trying to, you know, save their land and save their people. That's really what they're all about at the end of the day. Just because they look like brutes, the reality is they're actually not the bad guys.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just trying to survive.
They're just trying to make it in this world of fighting. Not stop fighting. Wow. That was cool.
That I can imagine the feeling that, you know, when you are a gamer, start from the beginning and then seeing this, celebrating the 25th year.
Yeah. For those who probably played from the very first one till now and following that storyline, it must be
Right.
honestly, probably you would just think about like, I can't believe it's even gone on this long. Like it's become such a worldwide phenomenon. Oh, good nostalgia, y'all. It's so cool that Blizzard decided to put this together. Just for the fans.